Gonna go left or right? Who wants it?
Bevan.
Bevan, okay. Going left.
Okay.
I'm gonna start this out pretty easy. So, come in, I'm gonna read the regulations to you, tell you how this operates and everything, and then we're gonna begin the oral. So, before we start, is there anything that you wanna tell me about maintenance records that are required for this airplane? You know,
Yeah, we have a maintenance logbook that has all the required inspections.
what are the required inspections?
I have them tabbed over in the logbook. Would you like me to grab it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wait a second. And there's an acronym for this too that helps you remember. That way we don't forget to cover any of them. AVIATES.
Okay.
The I is a 1 for 100 hour, but I don't know if I really need to write it down, but I'll do it just in case.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So you're gonna need an annual inspection
Okay. How often is that?
every 12 calendar months. VOR inspection for IFR flights, which we'll need for today because we're gonna be doing a instrument approach.
Okay.
100-hour inspection for hire, and it is for hire, so we need the 100-hour inspection. And then you need your altimeter inspection. It does help to write it down.
Yeah, I told you.
Transponder, which is every 24 calendar months.
Okay.
Same with the altimeter. ELT every 12 calendar months, which is in with the annual inspection. I'll show you that here in a minute. And your static source. Repeated static source. Inspection. So, and I have them all tabbed here. You're more than welcome to look at it and verify if you like. Here's the 100-hour inspection.
Okay.
And the airframe annual inspection is here.
Okay.
And then that'll flip over to the left engine annual inspection. So it is a multi-engine aircraft, so there's going to be one for the left and one for the right. And then the engine annual inspection for the right engine, which is here. And then the repeated static transponder is here.
Right here.
Yeah, just trying to get it where I can see it. Right.
Okay. Very good. Anything else we need for the flight? Oh, jeez, look at that.
Ah, meatball sub.
Appreciate just for that.
So you're also going to need your airworthiness certificate, and that's going to be in the airplane because it has to be visible to the pilots and passengers, and your registration also in the airplane. We'll look at that when we head out there.
How long is the airworthiness certificate good for?
For the lifetime, as long as the airplane remains airworthy.
What about the registration?
And then that's every 3 years.
Okay.
It has to be renewed. 3 years.
Sounds good. And you said how often you do the VOR?
Every 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah, 30 days for the VOR. And then the GPS needs to be updated if you're using that every 28 days.
Okay. Okay.
On the VOR check, because you mentioned like we're doing an instrument approach or something like that, don't you have to do the VOR check if you plan on using the VOR as a navigation source, even if it's VFR or IFR?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because if you're not using it, but just to be safe, have it done.
right,
Because you know you want to have it as a backup, so your GPS takes the dump.
but we have it, so it's not just for the IFR flying though.
It's
right?
for the if you're using
It's
the
if we're using
VOR.
it.
Okay.
Just make sure.
That's a good question,
That is a good
actually.
question, Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kevin, there's going to be some instrument questions in here because you're doing an approach, and say you're tooling along and on an IFR flight plan and you're bearing.
Okay.
Okay. And you're taking your friend up to Atlanta and you're at 5,500 feet, and you start to realize you don't have your handheld and your radios went staticky and now they're out. You're on you're on an IFR flight.
Okay, I am on my IFR flight.
What do you do?
Well, it really depends. If I'm in VFR conditions, I would land at the nearest airport VFR and then contact the approach frequency or contact someone to let them know I'm on the ground and I had a radio failure. I'd also squawk 7600 just for them to know. If I'm in actual IFR weather, I would continue along my planned flight route, the route I was cleared for, or whatever the last clearance I received was.
Okay.
Biggest thing though is if I'm not in that IFR weather, I'm gonna go ahead and land because I don't wanna go VFR into IMC without a functioning radio.
Okay. What about altitudes and stuff? I mean, is there a hierarchy of altitudes?
Yeah, so it was whatever was my last assigned,
Okay.
Or I'd go to my minimum altitude for obstacle clearances. So basically whatever gets me the highest out of the way of terrain. But if I'm on an IFR flight plan here in Central Florida, they're usually pretty good about keeping us to a certain altitude. So I would just stay on whatever they told me to stay
Okay.
on.
There's actually an
Yeah.
acronym for that too, MEA.
And so what is that?
The acronym's MEA, which is the highest of, like you said, the minimum en route altitude, your en route altitude, or your assigned altitude.
Okay.
The highest of whichever one of those are.
Correct.
All right, so then is there, what about your route? Is there a hierarchy on what your route's gonna be?
Yeah. Yeah, there's the cleared route, so
Okay.
whatever your last cleared was,
Okay.
your filed route,
Okay.
or what your expected route was.
It's I'm trying to think of how.
Oh, do you have an acronym?
Yeah, there was an acronym for it.
AVEF, I think is what
Yeah,
it is.
so what is
You're
that?
assigned, vectored, expected, or
Filed.
filed.
Excellent, all right.
Yeah, I was trying to remember, because I remember it's like FAVE, F-A-V-E, but it's mixed up. That's the way I remember it.
Okay.
AVEF, A-V-E-F.
All right, good, we're rolling along, Alexa. You're a new instrument pilot working on your commercial rating. Are you current right now?
Well, we've been doing some approaches, so I've done 3 approaches in the past 90 days.
Wow, okay, so with that, what does it take to be current?
3 approaches in the preceding 90 days, right? Or is it 3 months? I don't know. I don't know this stuff. I dumped it after.
I had to review it too. It's 66 hits, the acronym. It's 6 instrument approaches with holding, intercepting, and tracking.
What's the other 6? You said 66 hit.
6 instrument approaches. Oh, within 6 calendar months.
Right, so 90. So she just did a flight with me, and what I do is I show her a lot of, as much as I can without actually being in the cockpit for the flight, but she's in the cockpit all the downtime. Showed her our weather pack and everything. We'll see how well she did. So we're gonna go to, you have your iPad?
Yeah.
Providence, Rhode Island right now. We're gonna be there, plus 5, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's 1640. We're gonna be there at 1940 Zulu,
Okay.
okay? So look up the weather and tell me if we need an alternate. Providence, Rhode Island.
We're gonna be there at 1940 Zulu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's 1140 now.
It's 1640 Zulu right now.
What is the code for Providence?
KPVD.
Yeah, we don't need an alternate. It's clear today.
How'd you figure that out? I mean, what method are you using on that?
The TAF and the MOS need reading from 15 to.
Well, we're gonna be there at 1940.
So it'll be 1 hour
It's a day,
before,
right?
1 hour after.
No, that's wrong.
So you mentioned something 1 hour after,
Yeah.
1 hour before. What are you going off of? What is that? I've never heard
1 hour
of that.
before, 1 hour after, you have to have a certain visibility and cloud clearance.
What is
You know
that?
what that is?
3 miles visibility and
2,000 foot.
2,000 foot
So what
ceiling.
would be an easy way to remember it?
There is an acronym for that too. Shoot, what is it?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2,
Or
1.
1, 2, 3.
Or 1, 2, 3. Okay, yep. So 1, 2, 3. So 1 hour before or 1 hour after, 3 miles visibility, 2 miles
See,
ceiling.
1, 2, 3 goes.
Or 2,000
Right,
visibility,
right.
or 2,000 cloud clearance and 3 mile visibility.
Yeah.
Got it. And then if you do need an alternate, it moves into the next question, right?
Yes, and I'm gonna ask that in a minute, but she brought something up. What is this based off of?
Departure time and
Nope.
weather
Forecasted
change.
weather.
Forecasted weather.
Forecasted weather.
That's what you're looking, because you said MOS, and he's gonna be like, well, you look at the forecast, and that's where it is. Even if you're leaving and it's below landing minimums, if it's 0, can we leave and go to Providence?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Because the weather could change. It could
Right,
be
it's
far-
forecasted to be legal,
I mean,
right?
in the Seminole, it's probably
Sure.
a 5, 6 hour, actually, not, like a 7 hour.
Yeah. So
without a fuel stop.
1, 2, 3 rule.
1, 2,
So
3
rolling
rule.
into that, the next one is, let's say we do have an alternate, it's Boston. And what do we need to make sure that Boston is a legal alternate?
It's gonna be 800-foot ceiling for a non-precision approach,
Yeah.
600-foot for precision, and 2,000 or 3 miles. 2 miles visibility. 2 miles visibility. Okay.
Remember this: 6 and 2, 8 and 2,
6 and 2, 8 and 2.
based on ILS or non-precision, precision or
Okay.
non-precision. Okay.
Okay.
So to add to that, because you know, I'm trying to go for the instructor. To add for that, you mentioned the 8 and 2, the 6 and 2. So if we're flying to Providence and the weather's just crappy, could we just get an alternate like 10 miles from the airport? Would that be pretty good?
From Providence, you mean?
Yeah. Why can't we just get like an airport 10 miles away from?
I think we can,
You can.
as long as the weather's fine.
As
Yeah.
long as the weather's fine.
Right.
So if
As long as the
Providence-
weather's forecasted to be fine.
Correct.
Excuse me.
Correct. So, what about an airport super close to Providence? Maybe there's a little grass strip 3 miles from Providence, and the weather's gonna be kind of crappy.
Well, if the weather's going to be below minimums, you can't use it as an alternate.
Correct. Right. So we want to pick somewhere far enough away
Right.
that might have a chance. of
Exactly.
having-
With general aviation, it's really not that far away.
Right.
They might have, like with the 737, alternates halfway,
Far away or something.
5
Yeah.
states away or something. You know what I mean?
That's
Or even
And
further.
why is this? Because it's only for planning purposes.
It's for planning
'Cause
purposes,
You can
yeah.
get there.
But you can land at any airport you want. as
If
long
I
as
got
it's legal,
Providence
right?
and I use Washington DC as an alternate, but guess what? Can I change that if Allentown is close by and looks really good?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? It's planning purposes. Why don't I just go to Allentown and save gas?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
If
just
it's
you just
clear-
have to meet the legalities
Yeah.
as long as you can get there.
Right, I think when you are planning an alternate, because of what the weather is forecasted to be below minimums, then you might want to plan something that would work for you too.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
potentially work for you. You don't want to
So,
just be like
I'm gonna give
out in
this
South
also as a
California or
heads
something.
up.
You know.
And don't get complacent, because when you're going up there, and I've had this happen, when you're going up there, pay attention. Keep every so often check the weather at your alternate, make sure that's good.
Right.
You know, because if it goes down, now what? You have to be that ahead of the airplane.
Yeah.
If it's, and you get up in the Northeast and it's really crappy like that, pay attention, because you're like, okay, you know what? Our alternate just went down. Let's start planning on a different alternate.
Right.
You know? So, okay, you get there, you're filing your flight plan, and you said it's VFR.
Yep.
And so you don't, let's say you don't need an alternate. Well, how much gas do you have to plan on landing with?
Well, I like to use an hour just to be safe.
Okay. But what's the
There.
requirement?
30 minute, well, not for IFR stuff. It's 45 minutes.
Okay,
Fuel reserve.
good. What if you were VFR and you went up there at 5,500 feet? How much?
30 minutes day, night is 45.
All right, cool.
What is the IFR fuel reserve? What is that rolling?
45 minutes to your destination and the alternate plus 45.
At what?
Yeah.
At what?
What do you mean now?
So in the reg or where it tells you, right, you're absolutely spot on. To your destination, to your alternate, then 45 minutes at
After.
normal cruise speed. Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
With the alternate, like if your destination is IFR and your alternate is also IFR, but there's like a little grass strip, like you said, you can just send in basic VFR, right? If it is VFR.
If you lose
Yes.
It's a VFR. I mean, you can pick up an IFR flight plan. You know, if you're flying there VFR and all of a sudden the clouds are coming down, you're like, yeah, you know, I can do this approach. You can absolutely pop up on IFR if you're rated, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll ask you. And you get a quick IFR. You rated?
Do they? I've never
Oh, they asked me.
Yeah, that's a
I've
joke.
never been asked.
That was a joke, but they really did ask me. I was flying to Bartow and I picked up a local IFR, and I just got my instrument, so I probably didn't use the right like lingo or whatever. They're like, "Are you instrument rated?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got the certificate and everything." I was so nervous that day because I was, I don't know, going through the clouds, and you know how it is if you're a new
Yeah.
pilot, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this one to Kevin.
All right.
So you go up to Providence and you're shooting an approach. down to minimums, we'll call it a DA, an ILS.
Okay.
Visibility is good for the approach. You shot it and you get down to minimums. What do you need to continue? Say you don't really have.
Oh, that's my favorite question. Actually,
Okay, good.
For IFR, because there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
But basically, in the regulations, I need the runway environment in sight, whether
Okay.
that be the runway numbers, the runway lights, the edge lights. I need something of the runway environment in sight to
Okay.
continue that approach now.
So what if you get to minimums and you don't have any of that, but you see the approach lights?
That is the runway environment.
Let me rephrase the question. Would you continue the approach if you get to minimums and you only see the approach lights?
I personally wouldn't.
Really?
I wouldn't.
When you get a little more experience, you will, but what is the rule on that? Can you continue?
You can.
To what?
200 feet, I think. Was that wrong?
No, at 100.
Oh, 100 feet?
Yeah.
100 feet.
So you, and this is a real thing,
Mhm.
and it's when you get it, when you move forward, you're counting on those lights, so you can get that extra 100 feet because it's usually going to come in sight that extra 100 feet.
Gotcha.
I mean, on a regular basis. So you get to minimums, approach lights in sight. You can say your MDA is 200 feet. You get the approach lights.
Okay.
Continue another 100 feet, and then pretty soon all that runway environment is going to come in sight. You're like,
Gotcha.
So 100 foot, you can continue if you have the approach
Yeah.
lights inside.
that's the hierarchy of how it goes. You're looking for the approach lights to get your extra 100 feet, and then you want the runway environment.
But if I did just have the runway lights, I can continue down.
Yes.
Is that 100 foot below minimum?
Approach lights, because the approach
Yeah.
lights.
Is it 100 feet below minimums or
Yeah.
100 feet above?
No, it's 100 feet above touchdown zone,
Above
which is
touchdown.
basically 100 feet.
below.
Because your DA is 200 feet above the ground. You continue 100, and now you're 100 feet above the ground, which is the same thing as touchdown zone.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why when you do an approach, you remember in the briefing, you're like, so ILS frequency 109.1, inbound course 095, airport elevation is 55, touchdown zone is 40. So now if your DA is 200, you get the approach license, 240, you'll keep going down to 140 because you know that's touchdown zone height, that's 100 feet
Okay,
above.
gotcha.
That's why you brief that.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, okay. Do we in the Seminole have to do we in the Seminole single engine have to demonstrate a positive rate of climb?
Oh, I know the answer to this.
Well, it's hard to even maintain the current altitude without the zero thrust. in
Right.
there, so I would say no.
That is correct. Why is that? Bevan?
Because the plane is got a VSO which is less than 61 and it's less than 6,000 pounds. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. You want to be real impressive, you can say under FAR Part 23.
So we just mentioned that single engine, we don't have to have a positive rate of climb. What about in our Seminole, is there any minimum takeoff requirements? Do we have to have a certain visual on the runway to take off?
No.
I guess are you talking about an IFR conditions or VFR conditions?
Yeah, IFR conditions.
Dale got me on this question on my check ride.
Well,
Really?
Jump in and answer.
0. You don't have to have it.
Yeah, there is 0 to take off, but you have to have certain visibility to land.
Yeah.
ILS
Yeah.
wins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But so if we want to take off and we want to make our flight to Providence, and here it's just absolutely horrible weather, can we take off?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you?
No.
Yeah.
Frick no. Frick no.
Yeah, okay. On that note, I'm gonna bring this up to you. You have to have the required visibility to land, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is a good question and also with experience. If it's below visibility, can you start the approach?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Start
know
the
what you
approach.
meant.
I was still taking
Start,
off.
yeah.
Yeah. No. You cannot. You have to wait until you get
Okay,
the required
so it
visibility
hits,
to
it
start
hits
the approach.
your whatever required half a mile visibility. You start the approach and it goes below visibility. What do you do?
You can
Continue.
go miss or
Continue.
continue.
Yes, to minimums.
Yeah, and then if
Couple
it's
reasons.
still below minimums at that point, then you'll have to go miss.
Couple reasons for that. One, you can go missed if you want to. We milk it for everything we can, every second, because that weather changes with wind and stuff, you know. So take it to minimums, and then shoot your missed approach. But if you shoot a missed approach right before, just remember you can't make any turn. You can climb to your missed approach altitude, but don't make any turns because you're not at your missed approach point yet. Okay, so and then another example would be you just started the approach, you're coming down the ILS, and they're like, visibility now is one quarter mile. And you're like, shit, I'm not legal to land, but I can continue. And he knows you're on the approach, so just know the controller is going to keep you updated. He might say, 30 seconds later, as you're approaching minimums, visibility is now 1/2 mile. He knows you're there, and he'll start calling out 1/2 mile. Oh, up to a mile. He's gonna, you know. So that's why you continue to the missed approach point. Who wants to explain what a minimum equipment list? I'll ask Kevin to do it.
Okay.
Do we have one for the Seminole?
Seminole, no.
Okay.
Pretty much any GA airplane doesn't have one. We
Okay.
can get one. You have to pay a nice, pretty penny to the FAA for them to send someone out and do it for that specific airplane. Because
Right.
it also is airplane specific. Minimum equipment list is the MEL, also referred to as. We don't have an MEL or a minimum equipment list, but we have an equipment list. So on our POH, it tells us what we need to have in the aircraft to legally fly. There's also I forgot what it's called off the top of my head. It tells you what you need for IFR flying, and it also tells you what you need for VFR day, VFR night flying.
That's
Yeah,
in
it's
the,
made
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you spoke up. What do you mean tomato flames?
8 tomato flames and
Eight
flaps
tomato?
at night.
If you want to go up there right now. So you brought up a tomato. Let's see.
So VFR day,
Read them all.
night. Altimeter, tachometer, oil temp, magnetic compass, airspeed indicator, temperature gauge, oil pressure, ELT, fuel gauge, landing light gear is the 3 green, anti-collision, manifold pressure, and seatbelt is
those are all from VFR day. Okay.
And then at night, VFR, fuses, landing light, anti-collision, position light, and source of energy.
Do you always need a landing light? At night?
No, because
Why? What's the difference?
as long as the runway environment is lit, right?
Nope.
Carrying passengers.
Oh, carrying
For hire.
For hire, okay.
Okay.
So if you're by yourself banging around the pattern, you're good. Just give a synopsis on it. Let me break it down. The reason we don't have an MEO, like he said, it costs a lot of money. But when you're talking an MEO, you're talking a company that can't afford to have a plane go down for a seatbelt, you know? And then nobody goes anywhere. So you could call, we can't come out, he's got a whole list, and it shows the seatbelt, yes. 50 on board, you can be missing up to however many, so we'll take that one out. As long as it's fixed at the next maintenance base, blah, 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 you can continue. It won't disrupt your operation.
Okay.
We don't have that. We don't need that, right? We have an equipment list. Now, equipment list is where you're gonna go look up on the airplane if you see the fact that you're missing the wheel pans. You lost a wheel pan. Can I go? Well, it's not in there. This is just general. So
Yeah.
you go to your equipment list and look. Is it on there? And you decide, I'm legal to go. I can go without that wheel pan. Okay, that's for something that's not on here, go to your equipment list.
Okay.
I'm missing it, I'm missing this sticker back here, but it's not on there, I don't have any
And that
ammo.
should be in the POH.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so that's how you understand. Who wants to
Yeah.
attack the engine, Alexa? What kind of engine is on this?
Lycoming. 0360, 360 cubic inches, horizontally opposed, vertically fixed.
Why is that?
Because it's normally aspirated from the outside, so like when you take off the cowl flaps, you can access the spark plugs.
Well, I go with that, but you've got more to say about that.
Yeah.
Why is it horizontally
It's
opposed?
horizontally opposed, for efficiency.
You said that, well, how many cylinders?
4,
And 4 cylinders, yeah.
How many does that make, spark plugs?
8,
8 spark plugs, yeah.
How many, where are they located?
4 on top, 4 on bottom.
Very good, very good. What's the horsepower on each engine?
Is it the same as the Archer, 180?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an Archer engine, right?
Yeah.
It's got fuel injectors, carburetor, what?
Has a carburetor.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is it turbocharged or normally aspirated?
Normally
Normally
aspirated.
aspirated.
Cool. Why is it labeled?
Oh.
Why is the right engine labeled? Because I remember this confused me. LO 360. I know why.
I know
Left, it spins to the left, right? Something about the left? Left.
She's getting it.
Yeah, because of the way the rotation of the propellers is.
Well, why are you going like this?
Yeah.
And it's like this.
Oh, not in the Seminole.
Yeah.
Counter rotating.
Oh, they're counter rotating.
That's why it's
You're
so
right.
easy
I
to
got
fly.
confused. That's right, because it spins to the left, the other one spins to the
They're not
right.
counter
Yeah,
rotating, which
Yeah.
means there's no what.
that's why there's no critical engine, right?
Yeah. Okay.
How's ignition provided?
How's, through magnetos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With our what year is ours?
1979.
So what's the oil range on that?
4 to 6.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What if it was a 2000 model?
Yeah.
6 to 8,
Yeah.
yeah. So 2000 models is 6 to 8 quarts, and then the below 2000
Is it a
is 4 to
78 or 79?
79. So it might be 78, but either way. No, I think it is 79, but I just go with the 70. I mean 78, but I go with the 79 rule because it doesn't say anything.
So then, is it before 1979, it's 4 to 6 quarts?
Yeah,
Clarify?
that's what I'm.
So then
It's a
after
78.
79 is
Yeah,
But yeah.
6 to 8 quarts?
that's the way I'm understanding it.
Or after 2000? Or is it
Well,
after-
I don't think they made them after 2000. So
Okay.
I think it went.
Okay, so, alright. 4 to 6
Either way, he's
before
definitely not gonna ask
79,
that.
and then 6 to 8 after 1979.
All right, Bev. Can you explain the propeller system to me?
Yeah,
All right.
I
What
can.
you got?
You mean draw on the board?
Do you want to draw it on the board? I would love to see it drawn.
So, propeller system in the Piper Seminole. This is gonna be tough. I haven't done it in a long time. So, propeller. You have propeller hub. And I might not remember the name. Then you have an oil line, or a hydraulic line. No, oil. Sorry, because it is oil pressure. It goes down to an oil sump, I think. Here's your oil sump. You have another line that goes in, one goes into the propeller, and one that goes out. Then you have a, I'm trying to think what this thing is called. What's the valve that moves up and down called?
Is it a shuttle?
Shuttle valve. Shuttle valve here. That moves, and it has, I'm not gonna label it because it has like little openings and closings. And as it moves up and down, it's either gonna let the oil flow to the propeller or out back into the sump. You also have a speeder spring here that's attached to flyweights. I'm not sure if it goes like this or not. And then that goes into the RPM handle, or propeller, you know, the blue handle in the airplane. So when you move the handle up, it pulls the speeder spring, opens the flyweights, moves the shuttle valve, and the oil will go into the propeller. Then if you want a lower RPM, which will cause high RPM and high pressure. And if you want a low RPM and low pressure, then you move this down, and then the opposite reaction happens. This shuttle valve moves, and then the oil pressure will go back into the sump. Now there's also what is this here? This is it has CO2 in the top of it. CO2. And oil goes into this, so that way if you feather the propeller, the blade, when you feather the blade, I'm trying to think how to explain it, I'm so sorry, it's been so long. So if you feather the blade, there's oil pressure in here and that shuts off. And when you go to unfeather, this oil comes out and comes back into the propeller to help unfeather. That's the way I understand it. There's also a spring in here too, and a counterweight on the actual propeller blade.
So you keep saying it's going into the propeller, it's
Is that
going
right?
into the propeller. Yeah.
Into the propeller hub.
What's in the propeller?
The counterweight that moves the
What's that whole unit called?
I don't know.
Prop governor.
Oh, the prop governor. Yeah, I knew that. Sorry. The prop
So
governor.
it doesn't,
yes.
because, you know, if we're just going into the propeller, but we're not, because the propeller is not connected to that system at all. It's connected to
Yes.
the prop governor.
The prop governor, right.
And then
exactly.
using that hydraulic pressure, it's moving
Yeah.
that spring, then, you know, separating the
Right.
cylinders, turning the prop, fixing it.
And then I was told too that there's a counterweight that's actually, and I saw it with my own eyes, but it's on the actual propeller. So when all this is happening, that counterweight is what helps it to feather or unfeather.
I think so.
I would think so, that sounds right, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Yes, so there's the spring, there's the piston. So here's my diagram,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, is complicated.
Yeah.
But so like the spinner dome is what you drew there.
Right.
And in that dome right here, you have your prop governor, and everything's connected to that. So right here is your prop hub, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So this is the propeller and governor system. So this whole thing right here is the prop governor, which is right here.
Yes.
Yeah, with that, who makes the prop?
Well, I know Hartzell's the.
That's it. stop.
Okay. Okay.
So I would go through these questions to you, and since you drew it, you answered every question. That's why I always suggest, if you ask you a question, I say, let me go ahead and draw it out for you so that I can answer the questions from here on out. So,
Yeah.
what does the oil pressure do to the propeller?
It moves the spring to propel the governor that.
See, that's great.
It changes the pitch.
Yeah, changes the
That's
pitch,
it.
yeah, which ultimately changes the pitch.
But the answer was also correct, but you can also just go, I just said that.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I like to draw it out. Which lever manipulates oil pressure to the prop?
Just
Which lever?
the RPM, the blue handle.
Yeah, which
The
is the
blue
what?
handle.
The prop.
Yeah, the propeller handle.
Okay. Which unit regulates oil pressure to the propeller?
The governor.
Ooh, very good.
It governs the. oil
Yes. That's the way I like to look at it. The governor governs.
Yeah.
That's how, when he says regulates, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, governor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
governor,
Regulations.
See, now you just learned something. That's a good not
Yeah.
accurate. Do we have,
Yeah. He's regulating.
how do our, like, there's two types of deals on the older and newer Seminole propellers. How come when we shut down at the end of every flight, those props don't feather?
There's stop pins that prevent it from doing that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
At what RPM?
A 950 or 940.
Is it 940 or 960?
It might be 950.
I was thinking that 50.
It was
so now
it's 950. I'm almost certain it's 950 RPM.
Yeah, he's not gonna say anything if you get close to it.
Yeah, 950 RPM.
So like, with that being said, do we have, let me think how to do this.
So yeah, you
Now,
have.
do we have any nitrogen in our cylinders, in ours?
In the cylinders
Mhm.
in the engine?
Yeah. Function, in other words, I'm gonna ask this, what's the function of a nitrogen cylinder?
I don't think we do.
It's if we lose the oil pressure, it'll feather the prop for us.
Do we have that?
I don't know. I'd be guessing. I would say no. I haven't read anything about it and all that paperwork.
It varies, which is kind of a confusing thing.
It varies which airplane.
Yeah.
Some do, some don't. We don't.
Okay.
Like in the Riddle one, it does.
Because that's
The Riddle Seminole does?
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's probably a newer one, right?
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think ours does.
No.
So the older Seminoles, we know do not have that.
Right.
Okay.
For ours, we would just have to unload the aircraft to get it.
That's correct. Remember, that's why you unload the aircraft to get it restarted.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, well, you already told me. What's the purpose of that spring on the prop now?
The way I understand is the spring works with the counterweight, which wasn't even a part of the videos, but the spring helps move the propeller into the position they need to
That
be
is
in.
correct.
Depending on what oil pressure is in
It's
the,
just additional force.
yeah, additional force, yeah.
Excellent. So, okay, let's go back to the Archer. What kind of engine, what kind of prop do I have in there?
It's fixed,
Very good.
yeah.
So then what do we have in the Seminole?
That's the constant speed.
So what does that mean?
It's constant RPM based on any given setting on the,
I'm good with that. You good with that?
I'm good with
on the
that.
propeller.
What do we have in the Seminole that we don't have in an Archer?
Manifold pressure.
Oh.
Very good, yeah.
Oh, manifold pressure gauge, yeah.
Do you think he's gonna get into them explaining the manifold pressure gauge?
Yeah, I do, because he's gonna, why don't you ask what happens with manifold pressure with the change in atmospheric conditions? I'll let you ask the question. 'Cause-
Okay, so, but when we get out to the airplane, well, first off, what is a manifold pressure gauge? What does it do? What's the purpose?
It's measuring, the outside air pressure
Outside?
density.
Outside air pressure?
I don't know,
Barometric?
barometric pressure?
The manifold pressure gauge?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I don't
So
know.
wouldn't they measure the pressure inside the system?
Oh, inside the system.
Right,
okay.
so have you ever noticed when we go out to the airplane before we even start it, and I told Tom on our flight, I said, looking at the manifold pressure gauge, I can assume my altimeter is gonna be this. Because when there's nothing in that system right now, it is measuring the outside barometric pressure, because, you know, it's in the atmosphere. So I
Right,
can
exactly.
assume, so it acts as an altimeter. Now, when we turn that engine on and we have pressure within that system, it starts measuring how much pressure is in that system.
Okay.
So basically the question is gonna be, you shut an engine down in flight. What is that? It's totally shut down. What is your manifold say? The number right engine is stopped, feathered.
It's gonna say 0.
No.
No?
Because what is it measuring? Now it's not measuring
Oh, now
manifold
it's,
pressure.
now it's gonna read the barometric pressure outside.
So if
Okay.
you lose an engine, right, why is it so important to identify, verify, right, with actually slowly pulling it back? Because if I look really quick at my manifold pressure gauge, it
It
might
could
only
give you a
drop a
read.
little bit, which will give
So
me
you
a
don't
false
know
reading.
what-
And
yeah.
I possibly, if I'm not careful, could fail the incorrect engine.
And that has
So I'll
happened.
fail it
Oh, I'm
really
sure
quick,
that's
shut it
happened.
down, and all of a sudden I'm dropping because I'm like, oh my God, what's going on?
Now you've shut both engines down.
Correct.
Right, okay.
So the key is to that for both of you is, it's not a race, man. Get control of the plane.
Yeah.
You can say, all right, everything forward flaps up, I get that out of the way. Everything forward flaps up, gear up. Then I take a pause, get control.
So
Identify, verify, pause, look at it, point to it. And then when you pull it back in the real world, like even at Southwest, he'll say, confirm number 1 engine and I'll guard the good stuff. I'll put my hands over it, or he'll do it. You know, that's how common this problem is. Identify, verify, and then what he's saying is if you're in flight, if you just pull it back slowly initially, if it's the wrong engine, go, ugh, wrong engine, you know. But if you just go, zhing, ah, you know, which is happening.
Because you'll lose air, it's a big plane, it's a Seminole, you'll lose airspeed quick. So you don't want a DMC rule.
So the manifold pressure, is that measuring the pressure inside of, you said the system, inside of the engine?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if the engine's not going,
Inside the
creating,
cylinders or inside the,
it's just a line.
It's a line,
oh, okay.
it's somewhere, it's somewhere, just measuring the pressure with like a little caliper that pushes on it.
Okay.
Pushes on it, which brings up, you know, that little needle that we have.
So if there's no pressure going through there because the engine's shut down,
the
it's
same.
still a pressure indicator, so what's it gonna do? It's gonna assume, it's gotta figure something.
Yeah.
It's gonna figure barometric pressure.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of those stopping pins, oh, I'm sorry, the centrifugal stopping pins? One.
Who's that? The centrifugal stopping pins is so it doesn't feather on the ground, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, here's a good one. You're flying along.
Come over here.
Yeah, come on up. You sit right there.
You don't want to be on it? You don't want to be famous?
I do, I just didn't want to interrupt.
You can take your mask off too, we're corona free.
Maybe nothing.
Yeah.
I just look because of Greg, you know.
Oh, I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We do it when we go out the door too, I feel like. So all of a sudden you're tooling along, you start to see your prop is starting to overspeed. It's set at 23 inches now, it's 24, 25. What's your first thing you're gonna do?
First thing I'm gonna do is reduce the RPM of the propeller.
Okay, very
And then
good.
if I have anything left, I'll bump it back up.
Okay.
Use whatever I
Right,
have.
that's good.
So,
Can you think of anything else, Kevin?
What are you gonna do if your engine starts to overheat?
No, I'm talking about the prop.
Oh, just the prop?
And she said, just pull the prop lever back, and then as it drops off, try to put it back up.
Well, you don't wanna just pull your prop lever back.
Right.
You wanna pull your throttle back
Exactly.
first, right?
so
it gets
throttle
us-
back first?
Yep.
Yeah, because if you pull your prop back and your throttle is full, now
Right.
you have a higher manifold pressure than RPM.
Okay, so
And that
throttle
could be
back,
really
then
bad.
propeller
Yeah.
back. Then if you have any use, you'll bump it up a
Right.
little bit.
Slowly, yeah. Just
And then refer to your checklist,
And then refer to your checklist.
which is in your A1 or whatever. All right, so let's go. That was good. So, Alexa, what are the indications of a failed alternator?
Well, the amps and volts thing is gonna go to 0, right? And
Correct.
it's gonna come up on the annunciator lights, the
Correct.
alternator,
And why do you know that?
because it happened to us.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's fixed.
we test for it too.
Yeah.
Might go out there and start it up and see if it's fixed or not. But.
So, and we should see 0 on one, but a higher indication on the other.
Yeah.
We should automatically.
And Charles told me, he's like, well, you got another one, go out there. But my thing is, if we go out there with one alternator, that's fine, you know, on a VFR day, but we're not gonna shut that engine down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because we shut the right one down, it's the only alternator we have.
Yeah.
So, who wants to take a jab at Alexa? Because these are commercial questions too. What's the indication of a failed alternator?
Oh, we just said this. So the
No, we did, I'm sorry, let me move on. But what else, what are you gonna hear on the radios? Right.
static, yeah.
You're gonna start seeing things go, you're gonna start seeing your, you know,
So shut off the non-essentials
Right.
until you land.
okay.
Yeah.
You lose your alternator, your engine's gonna continue running.
Yes.
Okay. What if you turn the battery switch? Engine's gonna continue running?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bevan, describe the vacuum system.
I think I'll take a jab at it on the board.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so you want me to explain the vacuum system?
Yeah.
All right. I'll try to keep it simple because we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
So, the vacuum system, well, there's 2 engine-driven vacuum pumps on the Piper Seminole, but you have outside ambient air that is used, and it's used through a filter, so air that is used through a filter, and then to an artificial horizon. The artificial horizon has a gyro inside with little, I don't know what you want to call them, threads or
Vanes,
hairs, veins. And when the air goes from the filter into the artificial horizon, it pushes on those vanes, which turns the gyroscope and ultimately operates the display. That says display.
Okay.
From there, the air goes into, I don't know what that other thing is called, another chamber where it has high pressure. Yeah. And it's separated into towards 2 vacuum pumps. Tell me if I'm wrong on this.
Yeah, I agree.
The chamber here has check valves and balls, or actually that's the check valve, that are attached to a spring. And the high air pressure from the outside creates a low air pressure on the inside, which pushes this check valve back and lets the air flow through to the vacuum pumps. Here you have your vacuum indicator, which is what we always check when we're in the airplane when we're saying 5.0 verified,
Yeah.
which should be anywhere between 4.8 and 5.2 on the reading. In the event that one of these vacuum pumps fails, there's a valve here that will close, and then that indicator will turn red to let you know which vacuums fail. And then you have, from there you have two, I'm trying to think, regulators and your vacuum pumps.
That's what I was looking at.
Your vacuum pumps, and these are the regulators, so this is kind of sloppy. When the air flows into the regulator, it's regulating how much pressure is going into the vacuum pump.
Okay.
If for some reason there's too much pressure, the regulator has another filter on the connected to it, where it brings outside air, filters it into the regulator, which will decrease the amount of pressure. I might have been saying that wrong. It goes into the vacuum, and it basically, like if it's over regulating or showing too much pressure, like 6.0 instead of 5.0, then it's gonna, the outside air temperature will come in, decreasing the pressure, amount of pressure that's going in, regulating it, bringing it back down to the safe zone before it goes to the vacuum pump. That protects the vacuum pump from further damage if for some reason something was.
So you started all the way up there at the top in air.
Yeah,
Where's that
ambient
air? Ambient air?
from the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was
So
trying to find.
ambient air from the outside into the filter, into the artificial horizon, and then into,
That's the check valve. The whole
This-
thing. Yeah.
yeah, this has the check valves. And then the air flows in two directions from that point to each vacuum pump. But if for some reason there's a clog or something on one side, then you've got your indicator here that will turn red, and the pressure tension on the spring will decrease. It'll close this off. There'll be no more air going to that. All that air will be redirected into this vacuum, this side of the vacuum system, or vice versa, whichever side fails.
Okay.
So that's,
I'm confused.
Does it look like it's going backwards?
Yes.
That's what I thought too.
does it?
Yeah.
Because look, we have air to the filter to the artificial horizon, right?
Yeah.
But if we're sitting on the ground, not moving, how is this air that's not pressurized, that has no force, spinning this?
See, the vacuum pumps
So air
go with the engine, push the
Okay.
air through the filter, through that, through the regulator.
Air filter to engine-driven vacuum pump, which then pressurizes the air out, then spinning
Okay.
that. I think.
That's the way I was
Well,
saying it. That's what I was.
I'm just going off what the video just
Yeah,
told
that's
me.
what the guy.
So
Because-
if he's wrong, then that's
Because
something
air
definitely need to
just going
verify.
into a filter, it's not going to spin anything.
No,
Without
because you're
pressure.
sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense to me.
No, again, I could be wrong. And then we're looking at this as well. I gotta take this phone call, but we're looking at this as well.
Let me read this and see.
Yeah, let's read what it says then.
This is Kevin.
Okay. 2 engine-driven dry-type vacuum pumps. These pumps are connected to the accessory case on the back of each engine, contain a shear drive. If the vacuum pump would break or seize up and not spin fully, the shear drive will shear off and disconnect. Okay, the vacuum filter is located under the instrument panel and allows filtered air from inside the cabin to flow into the vacuum system, which is where you're at. Okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like filtered air goes into the vacuum pumps, then goes the other
Does
way.
it say that?
No.
It says vacuum system. The whole thing's the vacuum system, right?
Yeah. There's a regulator near each pump to prevent excess suction into the system, which you showed.
Yeah.
There's also a set of check valves that can, in the event of pump failure, separate the pump from the system to maintain proper vacuum suction. The suction gauge has red flow buttons which allow the pilot to see if any one of the pumps has failed. A red button will pop in the event of it. You've got it absolutely correct, but me and Kevin are both looking at that going, it looks like it's going backwards. But it says it exactly like you explained it here. It says,
Well, I
allows
think that this vacuum
filtered,
pump
look,
provides suction.
you're
So
right.
it's sucking. It's not blowing, it's sucking.
That's exactly fucking right, man.
You know?
See? That's brilliant. it's sucking the air in. I was like looking at that too. I was like, I feel like we're going backwards. But
Yeah.
now it makes sense. So when you get the engine going, the vacuum pumps will suck that air through the filter, through
Right.
Okay.
That's why the pump's
Yeah,
at
so
the
that you
end.
don't have to be moving for the attitude indicator.
Right.
Yep. So which instruments are? What was the question?
Which instruments are vacuum operated?
The vacuum operated instruments are going to be your heading indicator and your attitude indicator. Sorry.
What are the normal operating vacuum limits?
4.8 to 5.2.
How many vacuum pumps does the Seminole have?
2.
What indication would occur in the event of a vacuum pump failure?
The heading indicator would be like all over the place. And
No, what indication in the event of a vacuum pump failure?
oh, the annunciator lights, it would come up on there. There's a vacuum, right?
That's actually true too.
It is.
Yeah.
But if you look at what she
On
explained,
the vacuum indicator, what indication are you gonna get?
Oh. Nothing. It would come out from the other side.
It's the red. Remember I said that there's a red
So
light on
It
the.
would light up the whatever.
it'll
one-
still be 5.0 because the other one's holding the suck.
Yeah.
Right, but
But
you're
it's
gonna
telling
have.
you got a failure.
It's gonna tell you which side by the red light.
Does Seminole have that?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen it. I was just looking at it. Okay.
You want to go up there and show where how the red light comes on again? Watch. 'Cause this is a big thing.
It is a big one.
What indication would occur in the event of a vacuum pump failure? And then he's going to want to know why. So you're going to say, oh, there's a red light, it says it, and then you can refer back to this picture.
I mean, what I can tell you, like, is if in the event that
She
there's
answered it.
a clog or
These are
something,
vacuum pumps. They're sucking the air in.
yeah, the vacuum's sucking.
Okay.
So it
that's-
sucks air through the
That's why
filter,
the pump
through
is
the...
here. It's sucking it all the way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's sucking the air through the filter into the artificial oxygen. This is a suction.
Oh.
I did the same
It's not a
thing.
blotion.
It's not a blotion.
It's a suction.
Okay. So it's sucking.
So that's
Yeah.
why it looks backwards, right?
Yeah, because I was like, wait.
Me and him both looked up because we were half-assed listening, and then we look up and we're like,
We're like,
where is air coming from?
So, anyways, in the event of a clog, this spring
Is that your-
loses its tension. This check valve closes. All the air is redirected.
Freaks me
And
out,
then
too.
on
Oh,
this
that's- I
side,
did
the
this.
red
Oh,
light
yeah.
illuminates,
Okay.
showing you which side, if it was that side,
Yeah. Okay.
that the vacuum failure has occurred on. So that way you know.
Okay.
All right.